but lo and behold, surprise, surprise, my hair is not in my eyes, so I don't have to keep crunching my jawbone into my backbone. And one thing that males in particular, if they keep doing that, is they build up all this residual effect inside of their shoulders. And so the shoulders have muscle around them. They can absorb that restraint. But at an old age, it barrels out in their chest, becomes a barrel. Which leads me to explain the snakes, they can swim on top of the water above fish. And this is by them blowing out their inner tube. They've got a single one that stretches, where their belly should be. And they use that as an inner tube, or more so a noodle. Toy of the wet pool toys is a noodle. That's them on top of the water, and that's how they swim, expanding the barrel with the noodle. Thanks for watching. So there's a certain chain of supply, and molecules are all connected from a spring-like phenomenon. These are from ions, an ionic bond, a covalent bond, all imitate springs being stretched when excited, or them breaking if they're really excited. You can use an AI structure to 4D chess an entire supply chain and look closely on the important pieces. If you're playing chess, it's the ones behind the pawns. The pawns are meant to hit the barbed wire fence first, so the other things can climb over them. So in a supply chain, the important things would be data centers with high amounts of radiation, or things of adjuvant, biosecurity labs that are in research in order to handle eugenics programs. And those are what would break a chain the hardest. I think we already know why. Underneath the molecular properties are atoms that make up what forces are handled and the characteristics of them. Trying to figure out the placements of atoms are hard pressed because there's infinite amount of places where the electron can be around its nucleus, because it's a point particle. You can never put your finger on it. It's infinitely small. This would be one great range where AI can capitalize off of, going under the radar of the molecular springs. Those are meant for us to spring into action and not get whiplashed by a battering ram for questioning an election. So in Hollywood production, if you've got set dressing, you can make plastic fruit look indescribably real. But that's only if the camera is so good in the lensing. What's being lensed is never equal to what is seen with your real eyes. And this is what in real time AI sucks at. I think the confusion between what a pixel or a sprite could be, them being electric, is oddly similar to how algae and chlorophyll are. They both are ways of collecting that energy, but there's one difference between the two. One is of on land, the other is of a wetland. Who would have thought the difference could be that similar, but entirely opposite? Is chlorophyll the opposite of algae? Stay tuned and we'll find out on the next episode. And so when someone says the meek shall inherit the earth, what that could mean if everything is kind of a pushover would be that you could be having the same colors but have it mean completely different, but then you wouldn't see the difference without the taste. For example, in Neapolitan ice cream, you're gonna have different colors, and they're classically in what is a barcode of different flavoring. And then with sherbet, different colors as well, but aligned a bit differently in more of a tie-dye stance. The flavors are completely different, not to mention that Neapolitan is made up of different flavors based off the colors. Sherbet, lo and behold, is one flavor because it is an overbearing one. Whether it's based off the different colors of the sherbet is the collective one flavor, who knows. But if you're trying the two together and someone's just repeating taste the rainbow, you're gonna just start throwing up in their face because there's too much there. And it's to this degree where an advantage is made with you trusting what you're doing has a take in willpower, and the willpower could be looked at as virtue or skills. Whereas what makes life unique is not just to understand why you're here, but in trust. The commitment is trusting what you're doing, because if you don't commit to something and you're kind of just following step by step, it's more generic, and then there's less of a stylistic standpoint, because stylistic standpoints come from the natural flow, and that is inhibited from not having willpower. When sprites are expanding outwards, this could be like with the devices you use when they break, and there's altercations of old devices that age and their battery lowers, or the speed rate of the RAM is worse. These are all things that if they're made well, they should indicate getting better because they're more acclimated to the user. Just like if you're wearing headphones or a necklace around your neck and you get so comfortable with it that you forget it's there, that's a pleasant way of putting something made acclimated. Even if it isn't well acclimated, finding a connection to it is like a virtue that is done properly. But then with the environment, if it's like kicking upwards and like your clothes are blowing outwards, if you're virtuous, it would be working in the favor. Versus like in video games, if you're getting bashed into a corner in Mortal Kombat, you would be able to do a combo good enough, and then they would get kicked into like a spike pit or a lava pool. And this is one way of how expanding the sprites outwards. On a video game screen, a sprite is like a pixel, but more so in gameplay, they're derived from the user utilizing the scene, like the corners of the fighting arena, or their body when they're using their combos correctly. And along with when it doesn't even mean anything, if you're watering a plant and you only have a few drops left, putting those few drops inside of the water bowl, inside of the plant soil bowl, won't even reach the roots, so it's not even worth doing if it's below a certain amount of water.